Hello students, so today we will be starting with a new chapter. The new chapter name is Rights of the Indian Constitution. This chapter is present in the class 11 book of the Political Science part 1. So today we will be understanding what are the meaning of rights and why rights and privileges are important to us. Let us discuss. Now here, importance of the rights. Now why rights are important to us? The vitality of fundamental rights is stated in our Constitution. Part 3 of the Constitution covers all the traditional civil and political rights enumerated in the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. Now you see, the fundamental rights are applicable to us by the Indian Constitution. Now in the Indian Constitution, the Part 3 contains the basic necessities of the fundamental rights, which means the fundamental rights, the civil and the traditional rights, which are being provided by the Indian Constitution itself. The Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, it provides the civil and political rights, which are enumerated in the Universal of the Human Rights, which means the fundamental rights are part of the human rights. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. If I talk about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he was considered to be the father of the Indian Constitution. Why he has provided the fundamental rights and what is the necessity of the fundamental rights? So that the people are being protected and are not discriminated on the basis of religion and caste. And also as a result, there is no infringement of the power. Yet there is no distribution of the power or the illegal distribution of the power delegated by the authority. For that reason only, B.R. Ambedkar has noted down the fundamental rights to each and every citizen of a particular country. Now, the fundamental rights are essential for human rights that are regulated by the Constitution in India. They are integrated in the society and at the same time they incorporate educational value also. The Constitution also provides enforcement of these rights, hence they have legal value also, which empower a citizen to protect, respect and fulfill the rule of the law. Now, the fundamental rights. If I talk about the fundamental rights, they are the necessity. They are the essential rights and as a result they are regulated by the Constitution itself. They are being regulated by the Constitution itself and also they are integrated in the society. If I talk about the fundamental rights, they are the part of the society and they are integrated in the society. Also, on the other hand, the Constitution provides the enforcement of these rights. Why the Constitution provides the enforcement of these rights? So that we can abide by the basic laws and rules of the Constitution and we as a citizen must protect, respect and fulfill the rule of the law. And we as a citizen must protect, fulfill and respect the rule of the law as provided by the Indian Constitution. Here some of the aspects that we will be learning about the fundamental rights or the importance of the rights. The first comes the rule of the law. These rights are a protection for the citizens against the government that are necessary for having the rule of the law and not of a government as a person. Now the rule of the law. You see, if I talk about the Indian Constitution, here are the fundamental rights and duties. These are all rule of the law. And here we can consider government as a person, but we need to abide by the rule and the laws as provided by the government itself. So this is the rule of the law that we need to respect. Second comes, since it is explicitly given by the Constitution to the people, these rights dare not to be trespassed by the authority. Now, as the fundamental rights are given by the Constitution or by the government itself, we must not trespass the authority. The authority must not cross its limits or trespass. So as a result, what had happened, if the government is not accountable to the people, the government will be answerable to the court itself. It will be answerable to the Supreme Court itself if it is not accountable to the fundamental rights of the people. Also, the government must be answerable to the courts and is not fully required to uphold these rights. Now, if the government is not able to provide the fundamental rights, then he will be answerable to the court itself. It will be answerable to the court itself. So the fundamental rights actually provide us freedom and consider us to be the citizens of a particular country. Also, here comes the first fruits of the freedom struggle. You see, after living in subjugation, the people were under the British rule for 200 years. The people were under the British rule for 200 years, they were under the subjugation. So as a result, after getting the fundamental rights, they were being dignified. They were being given much preference in front of the government in a particular country. So as a result, they are the first fruits of the freedom struggle. We know that in the year 1947 we got our freedom struggle. As a result, after getting the fundamental rights, the people were much privileged and they were considered to be the part of the Indian government or the citizen of a particular country after getting the fundamental rights. Also, you see, they are free from the wings of the ruler. In that sense, they are the first fruits of the freedom struggle. Now, our country is considered to be the biggest democratic country in the world. Now, we are the people who are not under the wings of the other rulers. We are not under the wings of the other rulers. As a result, we can make our own decision. Now, quantification of freedom. Every Indian citizen is free to practice a religion of his choice. That is not so in the Gulf countries. Our right to speech and expression allows us to freely protest and speak for our rights. Now, you see, in our country, every Indian citizen has the right to practice his or her own religion. Every Indian citizen has the right to practice his or her own religion, unlike the Gulf countries. You see, in most of the countries, there was no freedom of speech, there is no freedom of expression. As a result, the government is not accountable to the people. The people are also unable to get provision of the basic right itself. But in our country, it is not so. We have the power. We also have the encouragement to practice our own religion as well as to go for the freedom of speech and expression so that we can give our viewpoint to the government itself or to the court itself. I hope so you have understood about the importance of rights. Now we will be understanding here. Look at the picture. The Constitution of India. First comes the right to equality. Under the right to equality, equality before law. Under Article 14 comes equality before law. Article 15, prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. Article 16, equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Article 18, abolition of title except military and academic. So these are the following articles under the right to equality. And second comes the right to freedom. Here you see the freedom of speech and expression, assembly, association, movement and residence and profession come under Article 19. Article 20, protection in respect of conviction for offences. Article 21, protection of life and personal liberty. Article 21A, right to elementary education, as I have said before. And Article 22, protection against what it has been said here. Yes, arrest and detention in certain cases. So these are the following articles under right to freedom. Now third comes right against exploitation, prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. Article 24, prohibition of employment of children in factories. Now part 4 comes the right to religion. Article 25, freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. Article 26, freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 27, freedom from payment of taxes for promotion of any religion. Article 28, freedom from attending religious instruction or worship in certain educational institution. So these are the 4 articles that is coming under the right to religion. Now, here comes cultural and educational rights. Article 29, protection of language, script and culture of minorities. Article 30, right of minorities to establish and administer educational institution. It is under Part 5, Article 29 and Article 30. And here under Article 6, right to constitutional remedies. Article 32 provides it allows individual to seek redressal for the violation of their fundamental rights. Now here the constitutional remedies. The constitutional remedies is very, very important. If anybody go against the fundamental rights and if they are not abiding by the constitutional remedies, then they will be answerable to the court itself. So here you see these are the constitutional rights that we are being provided to us. Now next comes the Bill of Rights. Now what do you mean by the Bill of Rights? A democracy must ensure that individuals have certain rights and that the government will always recognize these rights. Therefore, it is often a practice in most democratic countries to list the right of the citizens in the constitution itself, since a list of rights mentioned and protected by the constitution is called the Bill of Rights. Now you see we are all getting our fundamental rights and the fundamental rights must be protected by the government itself. And if the government doesn't protect those fundamental rights, then they will be answerable to the court. Also on the other hand, you see such a list of rights. Now those lists of rights are being provided to the citizen itself and it is also being enlisted under the Indian Constitution. It is also being enlisted under the Indian Constitution. As you see, such a list of rights are being mentioned and protected by the Constitution itself. It is known as the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights. Here, if I talk about the Bill of Rights, which means the enlistment of the rights, the protection of the rights by the Indian Constitution itself is considered to be the Bill of Rights. Now, a Bill of Rights prohibits government from thus acting against the rights of the individual and ensures a remedy in case there is violation of these rights. Now, a Bill of Rights. Now, a Bill of Rights prohibits the government. The Bill of Rights prohibits the government thus acting against the rights of the individual and ensures a remedy in case there is violation of these rights. Now, what are the benefits of the Bill of Rights? You see, this is a remedy. If a person is being violated, so it is a remedy that the person gets protection from the Indian Constitution, from the government itself. So it protects the violation of the rights. It also prohibits the government from acting against the rights of the individual, which means it prohibits the government. The Bill of Rights prohibits the government so that the government doesn't go against the rights of a particular citizen. The rights of a person may be threatened by another person or private organization. In such a situation, the individual would need the protection of the government. So it is necessary that the government is bound to protect the rights of the individual. Now, as our country is democratic country, so as a result, we all citizens are being protected by the government. If another person is threatening to another person or giving any threatening message to another person, we have the right to be protected by the government. So this is the function of the Bill of Rights. First, the Bill of Rights give us the enlistment of the fundamental rights, and also it protects the fundamental rights so that each and every individual can enjoy those rights. Also, you see, if there is any violation of right, that the government can be answerable to the court, and also the government has the right to protect the violation of those rights. And if one person is there who is threatening the other person, then also the government will give protection to that particular individual. So these are the Bill of Rights. Here, you see, the government is bound to protect the rights of the individual. Yes, in any case only, the government is bound to protect the right of the individual. Now, the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. This is the last topic, the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. Now, what are the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution? During our freedom struggle, the leaders of the freedom movement had realized the importance of rights and demanded the British ruler would respect rights of the people. The Motilal Nehru Committee had demanded a Bill of Rights as far back as 1928. The Constitution listed the rights that would be specially protected and are called the fundamental rights. You see, during the freedom struggle, it has been mentioned the importance of a particular citizenship. It was mentioned the importance of the particular citizenship. As a result, what had happened during the year 1928, the Motilal Nehru Committee in the year 1928 demanded the fundamental rights so that each and every citizen can be protected. Also, on the other hand, the Constitution listed the rights that would be specially protected. Now, after 1928, what had happened? The Constitution listed those rights which can be protected, and these are considered to be the fundamental rights that are being given by the Indian Constitution to the citizens itself. The word fundamental suggests that these rights are so important that the Constitution has separately listed them and made special provision for their protection. The fundamental rights are so important that the Constitution itself ensured that are not violated by the government. Now, the fundamental. What do you mean by fundamental? Fundamental means important. Those important rights must be protected by the government itself. It will be protected by the government itself, and it is separately unlisted so that special provisions must be given to the citizen. Separate enlistment is being given to the fundamental rights so that special provision is being given to the citizen of a particular country. Also, the fundamental rights are so important that the Constitution itself ensures that are not violated by the government. Now, the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution is very much important. Why it is very much important? So that it ensures that there is no violation of the fundamental rights that are being provided by the government, which means there is no discrimination against one particular individual. Fundamental rights are different from other rights available to us, while ordinary legal rights are protected and enforced by the ordinary law. Now, fundamental rights are different from the other rights. Why they are different from the other rights? Because they are the most important rights that are being provided to the citizens, and as a result, while ordinary legal rights are protected and enforced by the ordinary law, fundamental rights are protected and guaranteed by the Constitution of India. Now, what is the difference between the ordinary legal rights and the fundamental rights? You see, if I talk about the ordinary legal rights, the ordinary legal rights can be changed, it can be modified, and also special protection is not being given by the government itself, and it is enforced by the ordinary law. But fundamental rights is enlisted in a particular constitution. It is enlisted in our own Indian constitution, and as a result, it is mandatory for the government to give special protection to the fundamental rights that are being given to the citizens. Also, on the other hand, the fundamental rights are protected and guaranteed. The fundamental rights are protected and guaranteed by the Indian constitution, by our Indian government. Ordinary rights may be changed by the legislature by ordinary process of lawmaking, but a fundamental right may only be changed by amending the constitution itself. Now, ordinary rights. If I talk about the ordinary rights can be changed by the legislature. It can be changed by the legislature. It can be modified by the legislature so that certain process can be done. But fundamental rights, if fundamental rights need to be changed, it may be changed. It may be changed, but it has to amend the constitution itself, which means the constitution must allow the fundamental right to be changed. Here you see, besides this, no organ of the government can act in a manner that violates them. Whether it is legislative, whether it is executive, whether it is judiciary, no one can go against the fundamental right. No one can go against the fundamental right. If it should be changed also, it must go to the amendment of the constitution itself. It must go to the amendment of the constitution itself in comparison to the other ordinary laws that can be changed by the legislature. We know about the three organs of our government: the legislature, the executive, the judiciary. You see, legislature is making of the laws, executive there who is executing the laws, and here the judiciary all comes under the law, the court and the order. The law and the court and the order comes under the judiciary. Here the legislature make the laws. The ordinary laws that can be modified and changed are all under the legislature itself. But if I talk about the fundamental rights, the fundamental rights cannot be actually changed. It cannot be actually changed, it cannot be actually modified, and if it needs any kind of modification, it has to be amenable to the constitution itself. But the ordinary laws, it can be changed by the legislature. You see, fundamental rights are much more powerful laws in comparison to the ordinary laws. So I hope you have understood everything regarding the fundamental rights of the constitution, the Bill of Rights. So if you want to know any of the courses regarding the Bhadra Academy, then you can contact us in this number 863839171. And thank you.